Recording. All right, let me officially open the select board budget meeting for Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 5:30 PM at the Robert Vassar Town Hall, also available via Zoom. And we can go around the table, introduce ourselves. I'm Chuck Martell, Select Board.
Brian Lippmans, based in Conservation Commission.
Amy Dalton, based in Conservation Commission. Andrea Henderson, based in Conservation.
Pete Colgan, based in Conservation Commission.
Sarah Debraki, Treasurer.
Ron Graves, Select Board member.
Maddie Vassar, Town Clerk and Select Board Assistant.
Okay, all right, thank you. We're waiting, we're hoping Mike Jordan will show up, but we're gonna begin the meeting without him for right now. And so the first item on the agenda is to meet with the members of the Facein Conservation Committee to go over their budget. So welcome you all. And I'll turn the floor over to you to go over what you had sent us. Andrea, you're gonna be the spokesperson? Who's the spokesperson?
Sure, why not?
Right.
And Maddie, Sarah, thank you so much for putting everything over here. All right, so we have three documents. This is our summary budget request.
Yeah.
So what we heard from you last January was that the idea going forward would be to have an annual conservation budget, as we have in the past, but to include, any invasive, and to continue to include invasives going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that's reflected here, and then to show here towards the bottom what we intend to spend down from the reserves. So not asking for any further contributions to the reserves,
Mhm.
rather to start really spending them down
Okay.
for any anticipated expenses there.
I think those were the key things, and we'd also talked about viewing this as an operations budget and not a reserve budget.
Yep.
Yes, okay,
And that's how it's reflected.
yeah, okay,
So,
We identify some of the costs that we anticipate that we will draw down from the reserve fund, so you can see them.
perfect,
But then you'll see that the requests are operational.
okay,
Uh,
okay,
all right. So I guess we can, start from the top here. So this is the same as the last several years. For account 5470, the municipal building account, we're asking for $400 to pay for 2 parapost beetle treatments.
mm-hmm,
To keep them at bay. In account 5706, that's the annual operating or fund for the Facein Conservation Commission. We're asking for a total of $6,750. That had historically been at $1,500 dollars in years past. Last year, there was an additional allocation of $3,500 towards the invasive species management. So there was that, as well as the Mad River Valley Bear Initiative built into that as well. So we're asking this year for the same, so $1,000 for the annual operating expenses. An increase request, but we'll talk about that more in a minute, for the invasives project, so from 35 to 5,000.
mm-hmm,
$250 for a CRV initiative called Attitude with Gratitude. We'd like to make a contribution towards that. And then continuing with a $500 contribution towards the Mad River Valley Bear Initiative.
and that's the same as last year,
Same as last
yeah,
year.
okay,
So the total for those is $6,750, and we're asking also, again, for a $4,000 contribution to the Conservation Reserve Fund. That was funded at $3,500 last year. So,
before you leave that one, can I just ask, so
Yeah.
are there any plans right now for the use of that money, or is that just to bank
The
additional?
reserve fund. The reserve fund.
Yeah, yeah,
you know, that's banking for easements, trail easements, maybe. Like, we talked maybe about Chase Brook, you know, easement
Yeah.
purposes, but nothing specific.
Nothing
So
specific.
that,
It's just-
that balance right now is almost 69,000, right?
You know,
Hey, Mike,
Mike,
All right, so let me go back.
for last year, we did that at 3,500.
Right. Mhm.
okay, Town Forest Reserve,
Okay, and then in the town forest reserve fund, like we talked about initially, there is no request for additional funds. With the understanding that to be spending that down, that this is an outline of potential expenditures that we see coming down the road in 2026.
Okay.
So. You know, not that these would all necessarily, come to fruition in 2026, but, what at this time we can see as a potential expenditure. So, the Chase Brook, ecological assessment work having to do essentially with the vernal pools. Some interpretive signage. We are, as you might have read in the newsletter, working on pollinator gardens, with Be the Change. And, final expense for the Chase Brook Management Plan update of $1,000 is what we are looking at as potential expenditures in 2026 for Chase Brook.
interpretive signs, what do you have in mind there? That's pretty big chunk of dough for signage.
It's a pretty, yeah.
color one, yeah.
McCullough Barn, definitely some signs that provide some information, education about the barn itself, its history. We are looking at the potential for really trying to manage the forest after we complete this update, which is proving to be a much bigger task and one that we really don't want to. We don't want to skimp on this, and we really want to take a deeper dive, so it's taking much longer. And Kai Koich has been really instrumental with writing content for the update. But some of the things that we're looking at doing, as I mentioned, is managing the forest, so that could involve some of the Ethan Tapper type of approaches to increasing habitat for certain bird species and allowing for growth that can't get established with the current forest makeup. So if there were to be if there was to be cutting in that parcel, we would obviously want to be sure that we're very much educating people that are seeing that sort of work happening in there. I think just that initial sign for Chase Brook needs to be updated and enhanced.
Mhm.
It's just, we'd love to see a better sign there. Yeah, beyond that, other signage.
Peter, do you remember what that's the sign cost at Boyce Hill?
It was subsidized by a grant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think out of pocket, it was like, it was like $1,800. But
and that was just
not
out of
the-
pocket,
That
not,
was not the total cost.
Yeah.
Because we had the frame as well.
yeah,
So yeah, like Amy said, these are kind of aspirational. The barn and, the forest get used by summer camps. And looking at after this summer camp happened, the kids left fairy gardens and painted rocks and like did things that are just like not conservation really minded. And so there's a great opportunity for education that we can do
Yeah.
there. And whether that's an Uncle Sam pointing his finger at the kids and saying, don't paint the frickin' rocks, or a more, academic explanation of why this big patch cut is happening. So we can do more with the barn than we have been.
yeah.
And you know, it can tie into historical signage at, Boys Hill Farm stuff. I mean, it's kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of opportunity for that, other than little signs that we'll talk about in a minute at Boys Hill, but there is opportunity to do that at McCullough Barn.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, you know, in terms of what that sign costs at Boys Hill, this is probably a low amount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's also the pollinator garden initiative happening right next to the McCullough barn too. Well, there's two sites for the pollinator garden, so it would be nice for people to know what we're doing
yeah,
with a sign there, because Andrea has been doing the lion's share of that
Yeah.
work, but it's pretty exciting and
Right. And we do, anticipate, that Be the Change will help with that signage cost.
Mm.
That would be great to potentially augment it.
mm-hmm. Okay,
just editorial comment to throw in, it was already mentioned, I mean, Kai Koich just appeared out of nowhere and said, I want to help you with the management plan for Chase Brook. He wrote the first one, you're aware of this? Yeah, and is a wildlife biologist, you know, it's world class, and the work that he's put in there has been unbelievable. And we're very grateful and lucky.
Good.
Yeah.
good.
So Chuck, I have a question for you. If you can help me out, I'm kind of new to this. So the conservation reserve and the town forest reserve, what are the purposes of those? We fund them every year as we increase the reserve. So I'm just wondering what, can the reserve be used for these items?
Well, that's where the confusion came in last year. The
Right.
conservation reserve is put money aside for special projects where we may have to purchase some land or something like that, which they're asking for more money to be put in this year. The other reserve fund, we talked last year that probably we were putting money into it, and the expenses that were listed there were actually operations expenses. So what we had asked is, we don't put any more money into that reserve, that we draw that down over time to help fund some of this stuff, and I think you're saying that's what you're
That's what we're
doing, right?
doing. That's what.
Yeah. Yeah,
So last year we funded these three things. We funded the Conservation Commission expense. We funded the Conservation Reserve Fund, and we funded the Town Forest Reserve Fund. Those three things added up to $18,000, right? So these three items here this year add up to almost 27, almost 28,000. So it's like $10,000 more.
So the budget request is 10,850, the line at the very bottom.
Well, no, because you're drawing down the funds. Really, the total stops right here, which
Right,
is 27,000, right? And so last year we funded toward those three items, we funded 18,000. So this is a $10,000 plus ask. Now, truly, we're just drawing down reserve funds, but it's $10,000 more. It's 28,000 versus 18 last year.
No, I'm not sure I'm following you, so
Yep.
right, so that was funded last year. What was decided by the select board was that there would be no further funding of the reserve. And
the
that
forest
they-
reserve,
Of the town forest reserve.
Yes, yeah.
sorry. And that we would be drawing that down.
Right.
So in the 2026 budget, what we're asking for is the sum of I'm sorry, you don't have a green
That's all right.
version of this, but of these items here, the 400, the 5750, the 4,000 minus the 300 is what we're asking.
Okay,
for.
so I'm showing you like how I'm looking at it here. So the Basin Conservation Commission expenses, which we're trying to move toward, right?
Right,
Probably $4,500 last year. This year it's $6,750. We contributed 3,500 to the Conservation Reserve Fund. This year it's 4,000. We contributed 12,000 toward the Town Forest Reserve. And this year, I'm not sure what it is, but those three items that we funded last year total 18,000. And these here are 28,000. So I'm just saying, we're drawing down the reserves, but at a much more rapid rate.
I would offer one of the things, and we got into this last year with the confusion over expenses not being operational, but rather going into the reserve fund, and then if they're not spent, they stay in the reserve fund. So when we presented the budget last year, one of the reasons why it may seem like there's a bigger increase is that we would estimate expenses, but then some of it had already been put into the reserve fund, so we weren't asking for it. But it got confusing because some of that money had maybe been put into the town forest reserve fund in say 2022 or 2023. And so we still had that expense, but because it wasn't operational and we didn't spend it, it would have been clean in that case, but it wasn't because it went to the reserve fund. So we didn't ask for the money because it was already there. And so I'm looking at just a spreadsheet I have, and I'm sorry, I can't share this, but like for management in Boyce Hill, from the budget last year, the estimate of expenses was 7,500. But because we had funds in the reserve, we offset 6,000, so we only asked for 1,500. So I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining this, but the expenses were not fully explained by the final request to the select board for the budget that you all approved to the extent you did. Maybe there were some things we asked for more and you gave 3,500. I'm not sure, we probably asked for more. I'd have to look back to see what we asked for the fund, but for the conservation reserve fund, but the end request to the select board for the budget for the commission was 18, but an estimate of expenses was 35,000.
Mhm.
And now we're trying to get out of that because some of those things included, which was one of the big questions last year, was like, well, you're asking for $4,000 for mowing at Boyce Hill, but we have this agreement with Sugar Bush. And we would say, well, that's a
reminder.
well, it should this fall apart, we want it in the budget, and so that money didn't get spent. And so,
We didn't fund that.
well, but in years past,
Oh.
I believe it was.
Right, and that was one of the things that kind of led to that, because like yearly, it wasn't happening, but it was going into the reserve fund every
Exactly.
year
Right.
at $4,000 to $6,000.
Yeah, and so that was one of the reasons we were trying to offset, because we had some money that was funded in years past. And so the total expenses were higher than what the
request was.
right.
Yeah,
And now, and so I just offer that as a slight asterisk on that there, it may seem like there's an increase over 18,000. And some of the expenses, if we asked for them instead of offsetting them, that 18,000 would have been a higher number.
Mm.
That would have been probably more similar to the number we're asking for this year. I do think, again, it's, we're looking at 27,000. Again, there's 4,000 in there. That has the notation, this is included as a contingency, again, for maintaining open areas. So then you're dropping down to 23. So now we're 15, now we're 5K off of where we were last year. We have a big expense. We haven't quite gotten to this yet. Also in there for a mower of another 4 that may not be spent.
So we don't actually see that, what you spent.
You'll see it, you'll see it.
Right there.
Oh, this-
So I guess, you know what, Lori, it would have been helpful, if I'd added this. So, up here at the top, this is the ask for the annual expenses.
Mhm.
What might have been helpful would be to say, okay, here's what the town forest reserve fund is now. Is this right? 44,213?
Yes,
Okay, so 44,213 less these planned / potential expenditures at the end of FY 2026, if all those actually came to be. the town forest reserve fund would go down to 27,663. So no increase,
Okay.
but a spend down of the town forest reserve fund. So that would have been helpful if I added that.
It's 18.
And similarly, that could have been helpful if I added that for the conservation reserve fund. Was
Brian, do you have that on your spreadsheet, what the total ask was of the town last year that we
In my
approved?
Google Drive for Basin Conservation Commission, so.
Um,
I would-
I was just gonna compare that to the bottom line request this year, the 10,850.
But total budget requests last year were 28,310.
28,310.
But then we
And
took
what
out
was-
some, right?
Funded was 20,004. So what was funded was the $400.
20,400.
4,500 to the annual conservation fund, expense fund, 3,500 to the conservation reserve fund, and 12,000 to the town forest reserve fund.
I'm fine with this. I think we should not worry about the mowing, right? I mean, someday it's gonna end, but we'll have funds for that when it comes. I just wonder about the DR mower. Is there a plan to keep it? And I mean, I own one.
Yes, you
I know
do.
they require maintenance.
Right, they do.
And they should be kept inside.
And so, where it's been stored has been in my woodshed. I think I'm closest to, oh no, Woody's closest, and it was in his garage for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, so you already own it?
Yeah.
Oh, so, but it's on here for, what's the?
Okay, so-
what's the matter
so-
with next year?
Okay, so I'm gonna, you know, we'll just turn off the recording for a minute. So a very nice company in the area, called Brothers Builders, has one,
That's mine personally.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
The story time.
it's in my woodshed. Want to go out in the parking lot? No, okay, so you knew that,
Okay.
that's
So
good,
I'm just, so this is to replace that.
it is,
Good.
yeah. It needs maintenance. I can tell you.
So another question, getting back to what's in the forest reserve now, how much would you be drawing that down this year
So this,
to come to this bottom line of 10,850?
Well, I
okay,
think,
so no, I think what I should have done, and hopefully this is helpful. Can you see this? Up here is what the balance is at the moment, 44,000 and change.
Yeah,
yes,
So this second half of this worksheet shows potential expenditures from the town forest reserve fund.
yeah,
If all of those come to fruition, since
Yeah.
the Sugar Bush arrangement holds, they won't, obviously. But if we did need that 4,000, we would spend it down to 27,000,
okay, we spend down to 27,000
right?
and
Is what-
change, right? 663, okay. And last year you said we approved a budget of 20,400, and this year's request is 10,850.
Well,
Once you,
there's no request for funds. It's just an estimate of what potentially could be spent down, so.
There is a request
Yeah,
for 1050
yeah,
of
yeah.
these things, the
All the
green,
conservation.
all the green.
Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
at the top,
yes,
sorry.
yeah,
Yes, that's the request.
okay. Okay,
Thank you.
And to add clarity to the mud,
please do.
so we tried to estimate some of the anticipated expenses to draw down for the town forest.
Right.
We talked about interpretive signs. That might be in 2027,
Yeah,
right? So then that 2,000 that was estimated as a drawdown in 2026 doesn't
it
happen.
doesn't happen,
So now we're at 29K left instead of
Mm,
27.
right,
And so that's possible on a variety of fronts here. Some of the survey estimated expenses for survey work may not, some of that may occur.
Mhm.
We're Kai's helping, we're having conversations with
Mhm.
some folks, some experts, and don't really know what that might look like and what the full extent would be.
Mhm.
So those are estimates.
Yeah, yeah, these are just projects or items you'd like to do and how you want to
Yeah.
draw it down.
Right.
Basically, the operating budget is up here.
Mhm. But
So
all
we-
we need to look at approving is to the 10,850
Right,
for
but,
this year,
but that
for
includes,
our
that
budget
includes
this
the
year.
4,000 mowing too.
What's that?
That
No.
includes 4,000 for
No,
mowing.
because it's
That,
the yellow ones, it's the potential drawdown from the existing reserve.
yeah,
You have a colored one. Maybe that will help.
Yeah, anything that has kind of the brownish fade to it
Yeah.
is a
Oh.
drawdown.
yeah, mine wasn't in color either.
I said I would print them out in
Oh, my
color.
goodness,
You guys leave me alone.
man,
The ink budget, I mean.
oh,
I got it.
No, they printed at home.
I got it. I wasn't.
you're gonna turn on the color on my phone.
But I'll do a better job next year, of including that,
No, I
you know,
get it.
to show that the reserve starting.
Yeah,
I get it.
everything,
Yeah,
And then for the
I'm good with it.
population.
huh,
I'm good with it.
yep, Mike?
Like,
Yeah, okay, I think, it's a good plan, I mean, what I like too is that, like you were saying, Brian, if some of the projects you don't complete this year, you haven't touched the money, it's in the reserve and you'll be using it the next year and,
Right.
and then we have a firm number to put in our budget, so and it's less than last year, which is always a good thing too, so.
And I think we would see that. I can't say what the budget would look like in 2026 or 2027, but the concept here is that the select board is likely to see similar budgets, maybe even smaller drawdowns in the reserve, because some of the things here are a little bigger tickets.
Too.
And so you'll see an operational budget that is smaller.
Yeah.
Because for years we were using the town forest reserve fund as for operational expenses, and so it was getting higher.
Yeah,
So I do think that this will be something that's probably gonna happen for years to come.
Years,
I
years.
can't say how many, but
Yep.
a handful of years before the town forest reserve fund would be closed out.
yeah,
And then there would be an increase in the budget,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's any time soon.
yeah,
I think the intention of the town forest reserve was also to keep something for emergencies, like, so when it was built, it wasn't my understanding was that you guys want to zero it out, because if
Yeah,
someone goes
it's-
up and does construction to that thing,
Right.
so
I think that's
don't
it.
think.
The migration to the budget line items once should be something that occurs year to year to year. So it's not, try to draw it all the ways down to nothing, but start pushing it in things that are gonna happen every year. That go into just the regular budget item as opposed to the reserve. And just on a yearly basis, that number is gonna increase while the reserve funds dwindling.
And we talked about like some basement number of $10,000,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Rainy
Line
day.
leave in there. Yeah.
Right.
yeah. Well, nice job, thank you all.
All right, so
You guys-
PS.
No,
I
I hate when that
If you'll
happens.
check it, that's it, invasive species management
Oh.
expenditures, grants and donations.
Yep.
It's for 3 years. I just wanted to, because it is in various places and the numbers are, there are various grants and donations, et cetera. I just wanted to give the select board a detailed accounting from, the various.
The road crew budget, is that what you mean?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but, like over the years, right? In the beginning, we had ARPA funds that were allocated.
Yes.
So that spanned 23 and part of 24. And then, we used some money out of the town forest reserve. And then in 2025, there was into the annual budget, allocated 3,500. So this doesn't break out where each pot of money is coming from, but I wanted to share like an overall picture of what the total expenses, what the Lake Champlain Basin Program grant has, kicked in for phased in. There is a UVM perennial internship program that's been, like almost $1,000 towards, for that. Vermont Bee Fund, funded, some of our, restoration work in November.
I think most of these you see in the summary, right, at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, that was a late addition today.
Okay.
Okay,
Huh.
and, the grant is over, the funding for that, 24 and 25, and it was, a significant amount that was, that went to offset the intern expenses for us, and to that, our town of Facein budget that was allocated, obviously helped with that. All of our volunteer hours, and there were a ton, helped with that. Town of Waitsfield has applied for another grant. And, if they get that, then, the hope is that we would have at least $3,500, like in our budget. I've asked for 5, to, continue this work. So, to date, we've been spending just under or just over $4,000 in each of the last 3 years. Again, some of it in the beginning from ARPA, and then some from the Town Forest Reserve, and some from what you all allocated.
So,
And we're doing good work.
yeah,
All right,
so that money would be match for the.
We'll be like plus all of our volunteer
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
yeah,
And what I wanted to also send, and we could do another, presentation another day. And if you have it in color, obviously, it's much more interesting to look at. Is, where we're doing all this work. So very, very little in the town forest, as I think I've talked about in the past. Just, a tiny bit at Chase Brook, but mostly along, along the Millbrook, along Chase Brook, but the roadways of Chase Brook, and tribute, culverts and ditches that run into Chase Brook.
Yeah.
And then quite a bit on North Basin Road, German Flats as well. So I can give a bigger and more interesting presentation of this live, not with project data map another day.
okay, well, thank you for all of that.
Good. Chuck, you been up to, Voice Hill?
What's that?
Mike, you been up to Voice Hill? Yes, yeah, well, hey. Yeah, good. Stairs are great. Yeah, we ground up a bunch of little aspen right below the viewpoint chairs at the top.
Yeah.
And we need to do more of that. But let's keep the view.
Yeah.
And did you all see our newsletter?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes,
but-
yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Hopefully everyone got it.
Thank you, Maddie.
Scared me this morning.
Well, that was a good use of the broadcast list, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, town information, so that was good. All right, well, thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you. Safe drive home.
Of course, you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, decision is on the engineering bids. We got into 2 box culverts. I'm assuming everybody got all the notes on that. Somewhere I made myself some notes. So if I have my numbers correctly, East Engineering, Tyler is coming in at about 63,000 is his estimate. We had MSK at 67,750 with an explanation of what they meant by all that verbiage.
Yeah.
And again, it's a budgetary number, right, is the clarification. And then we didn't have any questions for Du Bois and King, but they're coming in at 93,140, so.
So I thought about that. So the one that was kind of like the one in the middle,
MSK.
MSK, yep.
right? We don't know if that's actually approved by FEMA. Their method of.
Mm.
Because that's not a fixed price, it's not a percentage.
So
Um,
that's the one that said might have alterations, so any alterations that they make to their bid that they made to you. We have to take to FEMA we have to say, you have to stop working, we need to get approval from FEMA.
So, and it seems that, see, so for me, that's kind of like, I
No
mean,
way.
it falls on you, right? So, but the one from Tyler, is a proven.
Yeah, it
FEMA.
follows there.
Yeah.
And it could go more than the 67, but it just goes with the flow, it doesn't. It's still funded based on what they allow.
They were okay with what Tyler did for the bridges.
Yeah,
I can't remember if we had, I don't think we had to push a little bit, but.
No, yeah.
No.
Things help, they were okay with it.
yeah,
Do we know that they would do that for these culverts? They would, right?
Yeah.
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 It's gotta be the same procedure for them, right?
Yeah.
And he comes in the lowest of the estimates, plus we've worked with him before, plus we know he can get approval from FEMA. I think,
Plus he'll get the work done, I think,
yeah,
it seems to.
yeah. I'll make motion to, we go with him,
I make a motion to select
East Engineering. I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll award the contract to East Engineering. Based on all the criteria we just mentioned.
So we'll probably have to sign something, right?
Which seems, yeah. That's-
Well, we can, yeah, we
Sign it right.
sign it when they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's the only, we got another one.
Perfect.
Okay,
All right, now we'll get
all right,
that
so
in.
we've signed up for the engineering design on our two bus covers. So moving right along. Item number 4, approval of liquor and catering permits.
Just wanna know what that's got to do with the budget.
Huh?
Just wanna know what that's got to do with the budget.
The fact that you get to approve it via email or tonight at the budget meeting.
So we just have to give you authorization to sign it, and this is for,
This is another one that went to Waitsfield and got lost and then
oh,
they
okay,
came back to us because they realized that it was in Facein.
and it's Split Stills LLC,
Yeah, it's gonna be at Mount Allen.
Mount Ellen Base Lodge,
Yeah.
okay. I would say we give you some authorization to sign.
Unless we can charge them more because they keep sending them to the wrong place.
I know,
Waitsfield's probably collecting something on all this stuff.
Let's hope it isn't.
All right, we don't want to go too long tonight, but Sarah, you want a couple of things you want to cover?
I don't think it should take long, so.
Yeah, let's do it then.
Four things on the first page of the budget, they're all income related, that I've highlighted. So delinquent tax, interest and delinquent tax penalties. We had sort of said, let's wait until see what's delinquent. So delinquent tax, because I was suggesting you guys could increase it based on what's happening so far this year. And now I'm changing my mind because delinquent tax is down by nearly 140,000
Wow.
compared to this, basically the same period last year.
Wow, well, that's
So,
good.
That affects interest. and
That's a good
penalties.
thing.
It's a good thing. So that's that. So I'm suggesting 8,000
Leave
for interest and 7,000 for penalties. So I'm actually suggesting we drop penalties.
Mhm.
Potential income and penalties by.
Okay.
What do you think is a reasonable expectation? We want to make a decision on these numbers tonight?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
tweak it again. I think if everybody paid all of the outstanding taxes in 2026,
Yeah.
it would be about $10,000 in penalties. So I went conservative and I'm only
Yeah.
Yeah.
suggesting 7,000, because probably not everyone's gonna pay it off.
Huh.
And interest, it's kind of hard to judge because it depends how long it takes them to pay it off. If it only takes them a couple of months, it's gonna be way less than 8,000.
Yeah, so what do you think for numbers there? What would you?
Well, I'm suggesting
8,000.
8,000 for interest, so keep it the same as what you
Yeah.
budgeted last year. And I'm suggesting you drop penalties to 7,000.
Okay.
Compared to.
To the 7,000, okay,
Yeah,
yep, okay,
so that's that. And then the other two, current use. So last year we budgeted 54,000, and I think that's been budgeted for quite a while around that.
mm-hmm,
We got paid and we got $72,000. And I've looked into that. And so the way they figure out the current use is based on numbers from 2024
okay,
related to our grand list, our tax rate, and the amount of current use properties. I think current use is gonna be around 72,000 again next year. But because I haven't been through this a whole lot,
yeah,
I'm suggesting you budget 55,000 again.
okay,
And conservative is good.
Yeah.
When it comes
Yeah.
to that part.
yeah, on the income side especially,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And then pilot seems to be right around the 15,500, so. I'm
Okay.
projecting
In
that.
pilot is when they pull it out of,
Pilot is the
Mm.
payment in lieu of taxes, that's the state-owned property that they don't pay, we don't send them a tax
Okay,
bill, but they
okay,
send
yeah.
us this money. So. Those are the things.
and that's it on this one?
That's it. for
Okay.
Tonight,
So we've got the, couple of pages down. You get the FCC highlighted,
I just, because of the conversation that just happened, so. The three items that they suggested, the $400 you guys are approving,
yeah,
the 6750. For line item 5706, you guys approved.
I think we did. It was
Yeah.
4,500 last year, right?
so we're just gonna budget the 10,850.
Well, so
No.
so they're including this $300 in income. Which we just don't budget that way, so.
I think they're asking for 6,750. These here are drawdowns on the,
Well, it's this 300, so this 10,850 that they've got at the very bottom of their page. Is this $400 plus 6,750 plus 4,000 subtracting this $300. And that's how they come to this 10,850,
right, I had a colored thing.
yeah.
So what are you saying, we should?
So what I'm getting at is, I just want, so you guys are approving the $400 for the McCullough Barn test.
Yes,
But that's
You're-
under, I mean, yeah,
Yep, you're approving the 6,750
Right.
for account 5706 and the 4,000 to go to the Conservation Reserve Fund.
correct,
Correct, okay, because those add up to 11,950.
all right, I'm gonna wait for your number.
But really, what we'd be doing is increasing this 4,000, I mean, the 3,500 to 4,000.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
So those three numbers, the 400, 6750, 4,000, that adds out to $11,150.
is what we really need to,
Yes, we don't budget for this $300 of
Right,
potential
right,
preparations.
right,
because it's.
right,
Because
And-
I
Oh, I
think that
see.
depends on whether or not they have the education at Boyce Hill, so I just wanted to be.
so
sure.
basically, yeah, I get it.
Okay.
And so these are just gonna be split in two different places,
Three,
three?
yeah, this is.
This is its own,
Yeah, it's not its own, but it's lumped in with the maintenance of this building and
oh,
it's building maintenance.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so 11,150 is the number,
11,150 across
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
I get
separate
it.
line.
okay,
Better.
11,150.
okay. Yeah, I couldn't get, I did this, black and white off my printer in my office, which isn't color, and I
Yeah.
just couldn't get my head around it.
But it's fun.
But I get it.
Okay, so we don't have. Sarah, you're all set on your budget numbers. We don't have any other business, I'm guessing, so ready to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.